we finally learned the real reason as to why the Mohammed Kudus deal fell through during the summer window. To move on, my friends, we have big January striker news, player extension news, plus WONDERKID news as well too. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It has been a while since I've released a news video, so I hope you guys show us some love today. Hit that like button. Let's get over 2k likes, my friends. And without wasting any more time, let's start things off by discussing the latest club news. And it has been revealed this afternoon that Ian Maatsens has had his contract activated now by a further year, taking the expiration date to 2025. How has this happened? Well, there is a clause in his existing deal which gives the club the power, of course, to automatically extend by a further year. And this is smart business. This had to be done because the reality was that Ian Maatsens could be made available on a free deal during the next summer window, and the club have learned a lot of lessons after Andreas Christensen and Rudiger both left on frees. You know, they were really critical about how two really good players could leave on frees like this. They aren't here to make those same mistakes or take those same L's, but I have some interesting opinions around this. Now, the cynical part of me, or maybe the realistic part of me, knows that we have extended things to make sure that he has some contract value in case any clubs try to make any moves to sign him. Let's not forget, on deadline day, we accepted a bid of around 30 million and plus from Burnley, only for Ian Maatsens to turn things down. So if Ian still decides that he does not want to commit to signing a long-term contract with us, then naturally, of course, he will be sold. But at the same time, by activating his contract now for a further year, this does give us more time to try and find an agreement now with Ian. And in football, you know, it's not linear. You don't know what's going to happen next month or the months ahead, and who knows what could happen. But if Ian can find himself a first team position before the season ends, then his future at this club could be completely different. Now, right now, I'm sure he's a bit disappointed by the fact that he isn't getting consistent minutes in his best position playing as a left back. Right now, he's playing further up the field as a 10. On the left, on the right hand side. And for someone like Ian, who had an amazing season with Burnley last season, he has ambitions and aspirations to become part of the Dutch squad for next summer's Euros 2024. So listen, guys who produce here have big ambitions and big potentials. So listen, he has every right to want to maximize his career to the absolute fullest. Time will tell if that happens at our football club. I like to hope that he remains with us because I think this kid has something special in his game, very technical, very classy. But at the same time, if he's not getting minutes in his best position, whilst knowing that we are more than happy to sell players, to continue to fund moves to sign players in more needed positions, listen, let's be realistic about the scenario and let's see what happens. So now, my friends, let's discuss some interesting news that dropped this afternoon, and it's around Mohammed Kudus. Now, if you guys remember my reports during the summer window, it was confirmed multiple times that we had reached, personal terms and an agreement with the player. But during that time, we were all scratching our heads because we were like, okay, what happens now? When's the bid going to be made? Like, what are we going to do now to push things through and get this deal over the line? As we know, he signed for West Ham, and there was a lot of confusion at the time because it's like, okay, what exactly had happened? Today, my friends, we finally have the answer, and it comes from Kudus' agent in Jennifer Mendel-Vichit. Listen, I'm terrible at pronouncing names, you guys know this. But anyway, here's what she had to say. She said in her interview, "We reached an agreement with Chelsea. We agreed contractually with Chelsea, but the deal was not done. He spoke with the coach, but in the end, it didn't happen because Chelsea made a ridiculous offer to Ajax." What was that offer? That offer was between 15 to 20 million euros. To move on, she says this: "There was no counter offer behind it. Chelsea did this to plenty of players this summer with very low offers to clubs knowing that they wouldn't be accepted. The truth is they were completely caught up in the transfer of Moises Caicedo, which was taking up all their energy." So listen, that's absolutely fair. There's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many staff members we have hired at this football club. So, it's the reality of how transfer windows work, where sometimes timing can work against you. And with Liverpool making late interest moves to try and sign Caicedo, we had to make sure that we weren't going to lose, the biggest signing in Premier League history, in our club's history, because he is incredibly vital and important to Pochettino and his team's needs. So I can understand that. The reality also is, though, once we secure Caicedo, as reports said during the summertime, and as I said multiple times, we had to sell players to fund moves to sign other players in attacking positions. So again, the timing was working against us in that sense. Now, we tried to sign Michael Olise. That fell through. We all know the story. We were looking at other players like Barcola and many others, but the offers we were making for them were far below what clubs were hoping to sell these players for. In the end, on deadline day, after some players had been sold as well too, Lukaku of course being key when he secured his last minute loan move to Roma, we had a few more funds of course to sign Cole Palmer. Now Cole Palmer naturally wasn't number 1, number 2 or even number 3. But I think we can all admit that Cole Palmer is a great consolation prize, even though, and I think we can admit this, we did overpay to sign him. We did have to sign him for a premium based on the window ending in like the final few moments. But this is where I give the club massive credit, because they trusted in the scouting departments. They trusted in Joe Shields. In moments like this and during previous times at our football club, we'd panic and sign the wrong player, which costs us in the long term. But we have the right football experts right now who always know the right player that is needed for us. Pochettino himself admitted that he didn't really know too much about Cole Palmer, but he trusted in his sporting directors and the figures at the football club. And I think it's safe to say that they have not disappointed Pochettino whatsoever. And there's a massive probability at this point in time that Cole Palmer is set to repay the big money that we spent to sign him during the summer window. So, you know what? It's a bit disappointing that we couldn't sign Kudus, but at the same time, a Cole Palmer coming in as a replacement isn't too bad in my personal opinion. So my friends, that is the truth behind Mohammed Kudus. Share your thoughts and opinions. Are you disappointed we didn't sign him? And you could admit that. It's all good. And right now, let's move on to discussing a big report that came out from Portugal. And we discuss Sporting Lisbon's Ivorian wonderkid centre-back in Ousmane Diomande. Now, these reports came from Record in Portugal, and they state that we sent scouts to watch Ivory Coast's recent game against Morocco to really scout and invest our time in Ousmane Diomande, as reports are suggesting now that we are entertaining the possibility of making a 69 million move to sign him for the next summer window. Now, I know you guys are scratching your heads right now. I mean, bro, we've got Cole, Badiashile. We're waiting for Fofana to come back. We've got Disasi. Yes, Silva may be going, but we are stacked right now. We can keep Trevor Jalaba. Humphries is impressing on loan at Swansea, and he impressed Pochettino greatly. Do we have to spend more big money on signing centre-backs? I hear you, my friends, but let's break down the reports first, and I'll give some opinions and news based on these questions being posed. Right now, Sporting Lisbon are hoping to get Diomande to sign a contract extension. Now, this extension would make sure that his current release clause of 80 million euros is kept the same. His wages will go from 300k a week to $500,000 a week, so it's not that big. But the context of the news is interesting because Sporting Lisbon only signed him from Midtjylland in Denmark for like 4.4 million in the January window. And since signing for them, he is making waves in Portuguese football. And to be honest, he looks like a bit of a cheat code. And if you guys are FM nerds, you know all about Ousmane Diomande already. 6'3". For me, to give you guys some context based on this game, he's one of those defenders that looks like he could easily play in midfield. And like, you know, when you know those defenders were that composed, like the epitome of composure on the ball, you guys know exactly what I'm referring to. The guy does progressive carries and passes for fun. And I think for the big clubs like us, it's even more important that you have centre-backs that can kickstart the first phase, that can play you through the press, that have that press resistance too to kickstart attacks. Because when you're playing against a lot of teams that are going to look to stifle your passing options and close down, your passing angles, it becomes even more important that the players at the back that are facing the goal in front, they do the best possible actions all the time on the ball. And this is where Diomande is going to be one of the probably next great centre-backs in European football. As I said, 6'3", stupidly fast, an aerial beast, Very good defensive intelligence for a young age, and he's just the epitome of composure and quality on the ball. It's no surprise that us, Arsenal, and many big clubs like Bayern Munich are also following the player. So, could that force us into making a move next summer, with Thiago Silva set to leave us at the end of the season potentially? Now, for me, I'm still quite unsure about this. I think we are absolutely stacked in defense right now, and I kind of see it like this. The reality of big clubs like us is that we have massive scouting departments and ranges. That's not only us, that's every big club in European football. It only makes sense that you're going to invest your time into scouting the next great players that you think we could sign for the future. And I definitely think that Diomande is someone for the future. And I don't even think the future is next season. This is why he has that massive 80 million release clause included in his deal with Sporting Lisbon to kind of like sway off any potential suitors. And I think this is why Sporting Lisbon, of course, aren't increasing the release clause in his new contract if he signs that. This is why they are offering him more money. They want to keep him at least for another year or two, and I feel they're doing this knowing the fact that if he continues his development, for sure this guy is easily going for his maximum release clause, because I don't see any club right now spending 69 million, 80 million euros to sign him at this point in time. It's not going to happen. For me, it's simply this. Who knows how our backline is going to look like in the future? Let's hope that Wesley Fofana comes back and he's good. Like, who knows how long other centre backs might last here, etc, etc. But you don't rest on your laurels when you're a massive institution. You know, you always prepare for the future. And I definitely think that Diomande is one that will continue to be looked at heavily over the next like 12 to 24 months. So my friends, that is the news on Diomande. Let's end things by discussing striker news, and let's discuss the latest news surrounding Dusan Vlahovic. Now, reports from Calcio Mercato and other Italian reports state that they believe that we should offer around 80 million euros to sign Vlahovic in the January window. Should 80 million euros? My instant take is simply this, yeah. If we splash big money on signing a striker in the January window, it tells me that there is some fear that we might not secure Champions League football, and that we must spend big, of course, to make sure that we guarantee to the best possible abilities that we get Champions League football secured this season. Because if we miss out on it again, my friends, it's going to look terrible for next summer. It's not going to be a great look, and we can't afford to miss out on CL football 2 years in a row. I think ideally someone like an Ousmane would be the #1 target. Plus, we're looking at other strikers who are performing really well. I think Guy Corres, if I'm saying his name right, Gyökeres, the Swedish striker at Sporting Lisbon right now, he's doing big things. Let's see what happens with that one. But as I'm trying to stress, we are only spending big money in January if we feel like CL football is on the lines. Now, we're going to have a boost in January with guys like, you know, Lavia coming back and hopefully being fully fit, and Nkunku coming back as well too. Would one more forward be good? Time will tell. There's still at least a few more months for players like Jackson and Breuer to show what they're really about, to really safeguard their futures up front for us for this season. So I don't think it's like concrete. Things are still fluid. But I think right now, Vlahovic's contract expires in 2026. I think it's quite interesting that Juventus is still open to possibly selling him as well too, even though the player fought to remain with Juventus this summer. I know this season he's got like 4 goals and 1 assist in 6 games. He scored a double against Lazio, a last-minute goal against Bologna, and of course a goal against Udinese as well too. I think he's been good, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's been levels this season. I think his past 2 recent games have been a bit mids. I know that he's still like recovering from injury as well too, but that's been the story of Vlahovic's time at Juve recently. You know, injuries stalling the process and stalling the progress too. So listen, for big money like that, I'm sorry. Anything over like 60, 70 mil for a striker, I need guarantees he's going to be a definitive hit. Like no ifs, no buts. And I just think that knowing that you could possibly have a bigger market to explore in the summer window, where you have more time to secure a player for the price you want, it makes more sense for me to wait for him to come back. Because let's not forget the massive impacts in quality we're set to receive once Christopher Nkunku returns to this team, yeah? There's still a lot more football to play. So, my friends, today that is all the latest news that's come out. Share your thoughts and opinions, my friends. And don't forget to watch my big preview with Bavs 14 on Arsenal. So, my friends, I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.